Ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever watched one of my videos in the How to Lose at Chess playlist, yes, there is a playlist, then you are obviously well aware that these games are chaotic, exhilarating, unbelievably dumb at times, but they are really restricted to like a lower elo of about 100 or 200 and a high elo of maybe 13, 1400, like right at that level of intermediate advanced. However, in today's video, we are covering a game submitted to me a couple of days ago by a longtime supporter of the chess community on Twitch. I would consider him a friend, and he actually has his own channel, so I will be throwing that into the description. You're more than welcome to check it out. Both of the players involved in this game are rated 2300. This is a rapid game, 10-minute game. So this game is unbelievably trash, and it's so entertaining. But the thing about it is, because they're both 2300, there's a lot of really high level moments, even though Stockfish just has an aneurysm looking at this game. So let's get into it. So our protagonists are John and Hades. Names are shortened, Hades being the god of the underworld. John represents the US, Hades has the flag of Ghana, and I've put little dogs as the profile photos, and they both get honorary Grandmaster titles. They are not Grandmasters, but they get Grandmaster titles for being featured in a Gotham YouTube video. All right, when I say you're not ready for this, I really mean you're not ready for this. John begins with the move e4, Black responds with the French defense, but keep in mind, this is going to be a very high-level battle. d4, d5, and we have knight c3. So this is a classical French defense. Black now has the option to take, play knight f6, or bishop to b4. All of those are pretty much the main line. And Black plays knight f6. This is the classical French, attacking the pawn in the middle of the board. So White advances forward, knight d7, and now Black has made White commit the pawns to d4 and e5, and will rely on c5, knight c6 to undermine the center. White will prepare for that by first playing f4 and then knight f3, so really solidifying the center. And there's going to be a very big battle for this square right here and the pawn right there with this kind of development scheme. This is an ultra mainline position played hundreds of thousands, if not millions of times at this point, if you count online games. Black now usually plays bishop e7 and castle short and does something on the queen side. So either b6, bishop b7, queen b6, a6, b5. And really the question for White is, what do you do after you play queen d2? Queen d2 is designed to potentially support a long castle, also just good to support the bishop. Excuse me. But the real question is, what is White going to do? Is White going to go 0-0-0, or is White going to go 0-0? Like, which way is White going to castle, right? So, for example, White can take and do this. White can also do this and this. Black has a very clear plan of attack, right? So, John plays the move g3. So I looked at the database. The move g3, it's just not a move. The reason why it's not a move is because in the long run, if Black does castle short, you really want to go g4, f5 anyway. So one small inaccuracy in the opening already kills off any of White's chances to get the advantage if you see the eval bar. Chess is tough at 2300, right? Castles, bishop g2, b5. And really now is like the last final moment for White to figure out which way you're going to go. I mean, at this point, going long seems a little bit dangerous, and you see that actually straight up loses the game. The computer thinks that c4, b4, queen a5, and Black's attack is just first. I mean, Black just wins by attack. So John plays a3. This is basically admitting the fact that you are not going to castle queenside because you're ready to kind of fight that off there. Black plays queen b6, and now White does a very nice job here of playing knight to e2. White has a handful of options. Knight e2 is just trying to get out of the way of the move b4. Like, White could castle, but he chooses to move out of the way, support the center, get out of the way of the move b4, and Black plays a very bad move here, and Black plays c4. Now, those of you watching, can you please tell me why the move c4 is bad? No, you can't, because this is not Twitch. This is not an interactive learning session. But the move c4 is basically you close down the queen side, so there's no more pressure on the center whatsoever. And you're like, well, I'm going to rely on this move being my successful infiltration of the White position. Here's the problem. There is a major difference to playing c4 after long castles and c4 when White has castled short. The difference being that there's no king on that side of the board, right? So when Black plays the move c4, there's no king. What are you attacking? Nothing. There's nothing to attack there. Which is why if White just castles here and Black plays b4, and even if you take, that's it. That is the extent of your entire attack. right? So you shouldn't take the pressure off the center. When you relinquish the pressure on the center and the center locks, now white should go for the immediate move f5. f5 even now is very strong because black can take, but then here comes knight f4 attacking this. There's no way to protect it. And, well, you're going to see. C3 played in the game, black plays a5. All of these things are coming true, right? And now John plays the move g4, which makes you wonder why he played g3 in the first place, right? That makes you wonder. That's what I'm saying. Like, g3 is just too slow because you know that this is what white wants anyway. So the fascinating position. The reason why the Stockfish thinks that white is much better is because white just has more pieces equipped to join the attack over here. And whatever black is attacking, there's nothing there. Black is attacking an empty field. All right, that's really what black is doing. White is attacking a bank. I mean, white's trying to rob a bank. There's a bank with gold or money on the other side. So whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna get there, right? Now black plays b4 and white plays f5. So like I said, very high level game, very locked, close position, high level game thus far. But ladies and gentlemen, you are not ready for what is about to unfold. I appreciate you having the patience of 6 minutes of allowing me to introduce this game. Hold on to whatever is on your head or any other article of clothing. It's about to get absolutely nuts. Now, white here wins the game in very simple fashion. White can take on e6 or just play something like knight f4. Black really shouldn't do this because this is just way too much space. White can also join in on the attack on the g file. The knight comes, the bishop comes, the queen comes. I mean, there's 5 or 6 pieces literally just attacking a king. However, John wants to end the game right now, so he shoves the pawn forward and sacrifices it. So he just absolutely sacrifices the pawn to open up the king. And here, rather than recapturing and trying to go forward, he says, I'm going to put my bishop over here and just lose the game. So I'm just lose the game. This is not the right approach because black takes one more pawn. And I just told you if the center is locked, it helps the attacking player. I talk about that all the time. But what happens when the center starts clearing out? Now the black pieces can suddenly get back to the defense. Queen g5 is not mate. So what is white going to do here? Well, he plays knight g5. This was his idea all along. Now there's this and this, right? There's knight hitting this. If you take on g5, the queen comes in. This is a terrifying position for black. Black has to defend f7. Otherwise, black is simply going to lose the game. Black has one move here that defends the f7 pawn. It's not rook f8. It's actually just knight back to d8. That covers f7, and black is doing very well. Instead of that, notice black's last 2 moves, which were takes and takes. Black decides to take one more pawn. Black takes one more pawn. Just this g pawn has become an f pawn, an e pawn, and now a d pawn. It's just moving in a diagonal. I mean, it's unbelievable. I told you, this game is absolutely nuts. And here, John plays the absolutely incredible move of rook takes f7. I mean, this is a brilliancy. The point is that you're threatening mate, so you're threatening rook g7, and wherever the king moves, your knight will go the opposite way, and it's simply checkmate. And if bishop g5, and queen g7. Incredible, the game is over, right? No. Apparently, black can save this game by moving the bishop. Of course, black doesn't do that, instead taking on c3. Check. It's discovered check on white's king. It's check. But after white moves, the queen is sacrificed, and mate is now unstoppable. Why is mate unstoppable, you ask, right? How is it unstoppable? How was it not unstoppable just a moment ago? You just told me if I move the bishop, I stop mate. Well, black does something a little different. Black plays knight e5, and now it's mate in 4. What? How is it mate in 4? Again, if anybody's confused, pawn takes queen, check, and anywhere the king moves, the knight will go the opposite way and attack the king and win. So look at the last 4 moves by black. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. I mean, it literally looks like a fake game. It's not king h1, black plays knight e5. This stops mate because if you play here, I will go king h8 and there's no knight f7. There's no knight f7. That's the idea of knight e5. However, it hangs mate. Right now, white has mate in 4, but you know for a fact white did not find mate in 4. Do you know how white has mate in 4? Try to find it. White to play mate in 4. It's the sneakiest of moves. The sneakiest of moves. All right? It's queen c2. And there is no way to stop the queen getting to h7. There's just no way. Black has all these pieces, and there's no way. If you take the rook, I still get there. If you block, now f7 is free. So check, and I mate you on f7. Your knight no longer supports that square. White plays rook g7, king h8, and now white has one more moment to find this, all right? White doesn't find it. Now white can repeat moves and find queen c2, all right? White can find queen c2. White can find queen c2. white plays bishop takes d5, and now white is worse. The incredible thing about the move bishop takes d5 is that it threatens mate again. If you take, queen d5 leads to mate. If you take the queen, bishop e6 leads to mate. So in some ways, bishop d5 is a brilliancy. In other ways, it's -3 for black. Apparently in this position, if you had played queen takes d5, it's a good move. If you sack your queen in a different way, you win, because then you threaten this and this. And the same idea with rook g7. You threaten this, rook h8, queen h7. I mean, the queen is more powerful once it gets in, right? So bishop takes d5, and now the only move to give black the advantage is bishop f6, and black finds it, defends against e6, defends rook g7, and now black is only a point up, but -3 according to Stockfish. White here plays queen f4, threatening the bishop. Now the only move here, and this is an unbelievable move to find, you will never find this move in a million years, is the move knight e7. The point of knight e7 is to sack the bishop and be on the verge of death. But bishop takes d5 check, and white gets laser beamed. And it turns out that white's king was the weak link all along. So incredible knight e7 doesn't happen. Black now fulfills the prophecy of moving the pawn again. Black plays c takes b2, and now black is losing. Black is losing because white, who just played queen f4, should take the bishop and allow a queen. Allow a queen and just walk out. And just walk out and just get checked all the way to h4, where you are completely safe. Queen e1 check, king h5. This is the Stockfish line. The king joins the party, safeguards himself, and survives. Black, it can make a queen with promotion and check, and white is still completely winning because black is completely surrounded. That is the winning line after the move c takes b2. White has to sack a rook and the new queen, a 14-point turnaround, but still be winning because of the attack on the king. And white freaks out here, chickens out. Literally, in his own words, John said he just chickened out. He thought he was going to miss something. Doesn't allow this, and instead moves the rook to d1, and now the position is equal. The position is only equal only if b1 queen is played. Why? Because again, you rely on knight e7. You rely on this little trick. All right, that's obviously not going to happen. Instead, we have rook f8 by black, and now it's back to mate in 6. All right, it's back to mate in 6 because black completely forgot about the e6 pawn, bishop e6. All right, boys and girls, let's go home. Mate in 3. You can win here in a variety of ways. That if you want to solve mate in 3 here, it's very difficult, but you are more than welcome to try to find it. It's the move rook h8. This is an amazing move. The point is that if the king takes, queen f6, king g7, queen f6, queen g7. If knight takes, that hangs a king. That's illegal. And if bishop takes, you can even sack your queen. You can take with the bishop or the queen, but look at this. And it's crisscross applesauce for the mate, and everything is covered. I mean, just incredible. Rook h8. So knight f7, you have rook h8, or you can even play this. Okay, bishop takes g7. Here, here, check. Here, this one is far more difficult. Knight e6, and then the queen comes and helps. All right, instead of that, our 2300 rated protagonist played the move, rook takes f7, and now is dead lost. This is why every move, like here, has to be a check. Every move. Every move has to be check. I don't care. You could have accidentally saved the game by playing this move. A rook h8 is very hard to see. I mean, like, who plays that move? Who even looks at that move, right? But you have enough time to calculate a forced mate. This is why we do our puzzles. Rook h8 is solvable because black only has 2 legal moves. This is not legal. And king h8 is very easy to solve, right? That's not so hard to see. The hardest thing to see is bishop h8, to calculate bishop h8. So every move should be check. And all of a sudden, from mate in 3, we plummet off a cliff to -11. And black finally plays knight e7. Black finds this move. And oh my goodness, folks, it turns out the white king was the weakest all along. Now white no longer can go forward. White has to make retreating moves. Once you start retreating, you start losing control of your position, and we have rook takes f7, and that's it. I mean, white only attacks the black king with 2 bishops. That's simply not enough material. The other problem is here that after you play queen f6, you are threatening mates all over the board. You're threatening mate, you're threatening mate, that's mate because of the pin. Here's the problem. the bishop can take the knight. And you say, well, what's so bad about that? I mean, the king is not mated. I can play queen takes f3 back, right? I just come back. The rook can't take my queen because of the pin. Yes, of course. But the queen can take the bishop. The queen can take the bishop. And it doesn't matter that you can go here. Sure, congrats. You're even up 2 points. Look at my pawns. Have you just forgotten that black has pawns that are just ready to become queens? Also, there's a hanging bishop, there's a hanging knight, there's a hanging pawn. Everything's hanging. It's -8. All you got to do here is take this bishop. But obviously that doesn't happen. Obviously that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Black freaks out here and is like, I don't want to lose a bishop for a rook. Why would I do that? Let me move my rook to f8 and give white a winning position again. Rook f8 actually looks like it makes a little bit of sense. Black's idea here was that if bishop takes rook, then queen takes bishop maybe, and now it's just a fork. So I think that was black's genius idea, like to lure the bishop in and then fork. I don't know, maybe black just missed bishop takes rook. I don't think so. So that's it. I mean, now how is white winning? The win for white here is kind of simple, but kind of funny. The win here for white is to move the queen out of danger and defend the bishop. So just queen e4. And now it's a winning position because let's say black plays something like c3, knight d4, and Stockfish cannot stop an attack on black. So Stockfish just doesn't see a way that black can survive even with all these pawns. You just play knight f5 and you get in. If knight takes f5, you have bishop f7. I mean, it's the weirdest +5 advantage I've ever seen in my life because it's not even an immediate win. It's just here, something, and black is just too slow. Black just can't make a queen in time. I don't know. What I do know is knight d4 is definitely not the move because knight d4 looks like it guards the bishop, but it doesn't guard anything. Queen takes bishop wins on the spot. Because if you take, I take the queen. I just take the queen. It doesn't matter that you can win my rook. At the end of the day, I have 4 pawns versus 0. You cannot stop my pawns. You don't have the capabilities. And you've traded off all your most powerful pieces. So black has queen e6, sacking the queen and getting the queen, but doesn't see it. And now is losing again to the move queen e4. Or, equally spectacular, queen f5. So black completely doesn't realize that they can sack the queen and win the queen back. Totally misses it. And now white takes the rook and goes knight f5. Here's the problem. This doesn't work because knight e5 and black is safe. I mean, black is kind of safe. And the pawns are still here, right? Like, at some point, black's going to realize they have pawns. White plays bishop f4, knight g4. And around here, both players have about an average of maybe 20 seconds. White is probably at about 10 seconds, 8 seconds on the clock. Black has maybe 25 seconds. So everything that you're about to witness is the final conclusion. You know, like you go to like a opera or like you like listen to classical music. There's always this big crescendo, the climax of the song. Just hold on, please. King g2. You have a queen, knight, bishop, rook, and you play king g2, preventing knight f2. Now black wins with a variety of things, but queen f2 is the easiest. Take the bishop, take the knight, checkmate the white king. And that's exactly what happens. All right, king h3, queen f4. White plays rook d4 with about 7 seconds on the clock. Now if black finds queen f5 or knight f2, it's simply going to be checkmate. That's it. This game is simply over. White throws in one desperate check. Black has the option to play king g6 and run out this way, or king g7 and blunder checkmate in 2 moves. With just 5 seconds on the clock, white has saved this entire game, finds queen h8 check, king g6, and queen a... No, the wrong piece. The wrong piece went there. White spent 0.8 seconds on this move because he only had 5 seconds on the clock, and he finds the wrong check. He finds this check to pick up the queen, but it's not enough. It's not enough. Queen takes b2 now absolutely must be played, but you have 4 seconds on the clock. So you're trying to make quick moves. Check, here, take, here. Oh my gosh, the queen has been blundered, but both sides have no time. Both sides are simply shuffling their pieces back and forth. Queen takes b4, hanging a queen again, knight d3, throwing a check, king takes h4, queen b6, rook f4, check. And in a tragic fashion, white has lost the game on time. White has lost this game on time.